Have you ever had one of those moments where life feels so confusing that you're not sure what direction to go? Now, maybe it's a career decision, a relationship, a financial choice, or just the day-to-day pressures of life. And you want to do the right thing, right? You want to honor God, but everything around you feels noisy, it feels cloudy, and it gets overwhelming. Now, I want you to think about Jonah in the Bible for a minute. Now, this story right here, God gave Jonah a very clear instructions. Go to Nineveh and preach against it. Now, that wasn't confusing. That wasn't vague. God told him exactly what he wanted him to do, right? But Jonah didn't want to do it. Instead of following God's clarity, he ran in the opposite direction. Now, he got on a ship, headed to Tarshish, thinking, and this is crazy, thinking that he could escape what God had already made plain to him. And you know what? That's exactly what we do sometimes, ain't it? God places clarity in front of us, and we know exactly what he wants from us. We know what he's asking from us. But fear and pride or even distractions pull us away from that. And just like Jonah, the more we run, the more confusing and chaotic life gets. But here's a problem. A lot of the confusion in our lives doesn't come from God not speaking. It comes from us not listening. Now think about that. God says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Now that's clarity. That's direction. But instead, we chase after money, approval, relationships, or success, believing those things will bring us peace. But listen, there are times in my own life now where I thought I had it figured out. I knew what God was nudging me toward, but I didn't want to do it. Maybe it wasn't convenient, at least I thought. Maybe it didn't look the way I thought it should, or maybe it didn't match the world's definition of success. And in those seasons, life felt confusing. I was praying for clarity, but the truth was God had already spoken to me. I just didn't want to listen. I just didn't like the answers that he was giving me. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe right now you're scrolling through social media, seeing everybody else's highlight reel, comparing your life to theirs and feeling like you're being left behind. Maybe you're praying for God to show you what's next, but deep down you already know the steps he wants you to take, but you just haven't taken them yet. And here's the truth about that. Confusion grows when disobedience stops. So let's get back to Jonah. When he ran from God, the storm came, and notice his decisions didn't just affect him. The sailors on the ship, they were caught in the chaos too. And that's a powerful reminder for us as well, that when we run from God, the confusion in our lives can spill over and affect the people around us. Our families, our marriages, our children, even our co-workers. I want y'all to think about a dad. Think about a dad who knows God is calling him to slow down and spend more time with his kids, right? But instead he keeps chasing the next promotion. The storm shows up, not just in his life, but in his home. His kids feel the distance. His marriage feels the tension. The people he loves are caught in the waves of his disobedience. But here's the hope in all of that. God loved Jonah too much to leave him in his confusion. Now, he allowed Jonah to be swallowed up by a great fish, and that wasn't punishment. I want y'all to remember that. That wasn't punishment. It was protection. It was uncomfortable. It was humbling. But it was in that place that Jonah finally stopped running and cried out to God. And sometimes the fish in our lives is that job that doesn't work, the relationship that falls apart, or the plan that completely unravels. And we see it as failure. But God often sees it as a pause, giving us a space to stop and reflect and realign. Now, for me, I've had doors closed that didn't make sense in the moment. I thought I was headed in the right direction, but God was redirecting me to go somewhere else. And looking back, I can see those closed doors were actually his protection. Now, you can't see that at the time, but when you go back and look over you realize that. And here's something that we need to remember too. Clarity doesn't always come in the sunshine. Sometimes clarity comes in the storm. Sometimes it comes in the belly of a fish, in those tight, uncomfortable places that we finally slow down enough to hear God's voice again. So what did this mean for us? What does this mean for us today? It means if life feels confusing right now, maybe the question isn't, God, why aren't you speaking? Maybe the better question is, God, what have you already said that I ain't listened to yet? Because clarity isn't about knowing every step of the future. It's about obeying the next step God has already revealed to us. And that's freeing when you finally think about that. That means you don't have to have your whole life figured out. You don't need to see that 10-year plan. You just need to trust God with the next step. So I want y'all to think about Jonah again. The moment he obeyed, things shifted. The fish spit him out and clarity returned. He preached in Nineveh and lives were changed. And let me make this personal right now. Maybe God has been nudging you to forgive someone, but you've been holding on to that hurt. Maybe he's been calling you to step out on faith and serve in your church, but you've been hesitant. Maybe he's been asking you to let go of a toxic relationship, but you keep holding on. And the longer you run, the more confusing life becomes. But the moment you obey, things begin to shift. And here's the bigger picture. Clarity isn't just for us, it's for the kingdom. Jonah's obedience didn't just bring him peace, it saved the city. In your obedience, our clarity, our decisions to trust God when life feels confusing is not just about us. It's about your children who are watching. It's about our spouses who needs encouragement. It's about our co-workers who may never step foot in a church, unfortunately, but are reading our life every single day. It's about the people who are connected to us enough to see God through us. So today, if life feels confusing, stop running. Go back to what God has already told you. Serve him in every part of your life. And when you do, you'll find that peace. You'll find that clarity. And yes, even the blessings that you've been searching for. So listen, if this has helped you, if this has inspired you, if you just enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs it. Hit that notification bell too so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And remember, listen to God. He knows what we need. He knows us. He knows what we want. We just need to trust him. So again, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to join me on this journey because where impossibility ends, God begins. Stay blessed.